Battle Through the Heavens Episode 201. The ancient Void Dragon clan faced a catastrophe that threatened to wipe them out. 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇 Yan's life hung by a thread, and Xiao Yan entered Dragon Island once again. Just as Queen Medusa had appeared and defeated Huang Tian, the Five-Star Dou Saint of the heavenly demon Phoenix tribe, it seemed that Huang Tian was about to die then and there. But at that moment, in order to protect himself, Huang Tian revealed that the ancient Void Dragon clan was facing a crisis. If Xiao Yan rushed over now, he might still be able to save 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇. But if Xiao Yan insisted on killing him, Huang Tian would fight to the death and drag someone down with him. By then, Xiao Yan would only be able to collect the corpse of the newly appointed Dragon Phoenix, 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇. Xiao Yan immediately brought Kai Lin with him, tearing through space and flying toward Dragon Island. Within the empty void, two streaks of light shot forward at an astonishing speed. The air currents they stirred up rumbled loudly through the silent space. Xiao Yan's expression was extremely grim. He had originally thought that after defeating the three great Dragon Kings last time, the situation on East Dragon Island had already stabilized. It should not have taken long before the entire ancient Void Dragon clan was unified. Although the Dragon Kings who had escaped would bring some trouble, they should not have been able to pose too great a threat. But what was happening now made him realize that he had thought too simply. Xiao Yan clenched his fist tightly. The dragon seal in his palm was becoming fainter and fainter, which meant that 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇's situation was extremely dangerous. What worried him even more was that the direction of the dragon seal's response was not East Dragon Island at all. In other words, 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇 was currently not in a safe place. He forcefully suppressed the anger in his heart. The green-red bone wings on his back trembled once again, pushing his speed to the limit. Kai Lin followed behind him. Seeing his anxious appearance, she did not say much and only silently increased her own speed. Elsewhere in the void, a huge floating island was shrouded in thick blood-red light. Even from thousands of miles away, one could smell the pungent stench of blood. Around the giant island, countless experts from East Dragon Island had surrounded the place so tightly that not even water could pass through. Every face was filled with anger and fear. An old man with white hair was roaring furiously. He said that the Northern Dragon King had actually used the forbidden technique of the ancient Void Dragon clan, the Dragon Transformation Demon Formation. This formation had already been destroyed thousands of years ago. No one expected that the Northern Dragon King had secretly preserved it. Elder Zhu Li explained that back then, the one in charge of the ancient Dragon clan's secret arts had been the Northern Dragon King's great-grandfather. It was very possible that he had never truly destroyed this forbidden technique. The Dragon Transformation Demon Formation was extremely cruel. Once the formation was activated, everyone inside the formation, except for the formation core, would be shattered into blood and absorbed by the core, allowing the core's strength to increase tremendously. That madman, the Northern Dragon King, had actually activated this formation on Northern Dragon Island. Most of the experts on the island had already been devoured by him. From within the blood-red light came the Northern Dragon King's crazed laughter. Two figures rushed out from the blood mist. They were 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇 and the Northern Dragon King. At this moment, 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇's face was pale, and her aura was extremely weak. The Dragon Slayer sword in her hand no longer had its former power. The Northern Dragon King opposite her had already turned into a terrifying monster. His body was incomparably muscular, and blood flowed all over him. On one head, there were actually three faces: the Northern Dragon King, the Western Dragon King, and the Southern Dragon King. It turned out that the Northern Dragon King had not only devoured a large number of his own clansmen, but had also devoured the heavily injured Western Dragon King and Southern Dragon King. He had absorbed both their bodies and souls. The current Northern Dragon King's strength had soared tremendously. 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇 was no match for him at all. If he had not been wary of the Dragon Slayer sword in her hand, 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇 would have already been killed by him. The Northern Dragon King continued attacking, and 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇 could only barely defend herself. Even more despicably, the Northern Dragon King grabbed clansmen from the island and threw them at 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇 as weapons. 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇 could not bear to watch her clansmen die, so she could only take action to save them. As a result, the Northern Dragon King seized the opportunity. He punched 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇 heavily in the shoulder. 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇 spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying backward. The Northern Dragon King smiled viciously as he walked toward 𝐁𝐓𝐓𝐇. He stretched out his large hand, about to grab the top of her head. Outside the blood formation, the experts of East Dragon Island saw this scene and were so anxious that their eyes turned red. Yet because they feared the dragon transformation demon formation, none of them dared to step forward. At that critical moment, a cluster of pink flames suddenly rose above Xian's head. The terrifying heat forced the Northern Dragon King to stop. He slowly raised his head and looked toward the empty space ahead, gritting his teeth as he called out Xiao Yan's name. The Northern Dragon King's furious roar exploded through the blood formation, spreading far into the distance. At that moment, the beautiful pink flame above Xian's head suddenly surged, turning into a fire barrier that firmly protected her. The surrounding blood mist immediately hissed when it touched the fire barrier, vanishing in an instant. Space rippled, and the figures of Xiao Yan and Kai Lin slowly appeared beside Xian. When the clansmen of East Dragon Island outside the blood formation saw Xiao Yan, they first burst into surprised cheers. But very quickly, they frowned again. They knew that Xiao Yan was a Dou Saint expert, but the current Northern Dragon King had already become terrifyingly powerful. Even if an ordinary Dou Saint entered, there would only be death waiting for them. The Northern Dragon King licked the blood at the corner of his mouth and mocked Huang Tian for being useless, saying that he had only delayed Xiao Yan for such a short time. He arrogantly declared that the overall situation had already been decided. Even if Xiao Yan had arrived, he was merely adding one more sacrifice for him. Xiao Yan calmly looked at the Northern Dragon King. His gaze paused for a moment on the three hideous faces on the man's head. With his soul perception, Xiao Yan immediately understood the reason behind the Northern Dragon King's explosive increase in strength. His brows could not help but knit together. Beside him, Xian suddenly coughed up a mouthful of blood. Her face was as white as paper. The blood energy on her shoulder was rapidly spreading, corroding her body. Even her dragon phoenix physique could barely resist it. Seeing this, the Northern Dragon King laughed proudly and said that anyone struck by the blood energy of the dragon transformation demon formation would not have an easy time. Xian wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and gave Xiao Yan a bitter smile. She told him that the Northern Dragon King had devoured the flesh and blood of the Western and Southern Dragon Kings, along with countless clansmen. He had now faintly reached the level of a 6-star Dou Saint. The gap between her and the Northern Dragon King was simply too great. She was no match for him at all. Xiao Yan did not speak. He merely placed his hand gently on Xian's injured shoulder. Faint pink flames danced at his fingertips. The Northern Dragon King was just about to mock Xiao Yan for overestimating himself, but he was shocked to discover that the blood energy on Xian's shoulder was being slowly evaporated. Only then did he realize that the heavenly flame in Xiao Yan's hand had become far stronger than it had been back then. Xiao Yan controlled the purifying lotus demonic flame, guiding it through Xian's body once. He completely removed all the dragon transformation blood energy. As the blood energy disappeared, Xian's complexion improved slightly. But before everyone's astonished eyes, her body slowly shrank, finally returning to the appearance of the little girl she used to be. She explained that she was far too weak and could only take this form to conserve her strength. Xiao Yan patted Xian's little head and told her to leave with Kai Lin first. He would handle this place. Xian was worried that the Northern Dragon King was too strong, but Xiao Yan smiled and said that he had never done anything he was not confident in. Kai Lin was also somewhat uneasy. Xiao Yan told her that the Northern Dragon King was not truly a 6-star Dou Saint yet, and he still had a chance to win. He asked Kai Lin to rescue the remaining clansmen in the formation while he held off the Northern Dragon King. Otherwise, the Northern Dragon King could devour their blood energy at any time and maintain his peak state. Kai Lin nodded and quickly left the blood formation with Xian. The Northern Dragon King did not stop them. In his eyes, those two would sooner or later become food on his plate. He stared at Xiao Yan greedily and said that Xiao Yan's flesh and blood smelled even more delicious than the flesh and blood of the dragon phoenix. Xiao Yan ignored his mad rambling. The purifying lotus demonic flame inside his body slowly spread out. The terrifying heat evaporated all the surrounding blood energy. The Northern Dragon King's gaze sharpened. Although killing intent boiled in his heart, his naturally sinister and cautious nature still kept him alert. With a loud shout, he raised the blood-red giant sword in his hand. Carrying a pungent stench of blood, It slashed fiercely toward Xiao Yan's head. Xiao Yan casually struck out with a yellow spring palm. A huge energy palm print roared forward. The Northern Dragon King sneered and split the palm print in half with a single sword strike. Immediately after, he sent out 3 sharp sword auras. Xiao Yan could only keep dodging. The Northern Dragon King's attacks came wave after wave, leaving Xiao Yan no chance to breathe. Outside the blood formation, the elders of East Dragon Island watched with their hearts in their throats. Xiao Yan exchanged a head-on blow with the Northern Dragon King and was forced back dozens of steps. The blood and energy in his body churned violently. He solemnly realized that the Northern Dragon King truly possessed strength close to that of a 6-star Dou Saint. Ordinary Dou techniques could not harm him at all. At that moment, determination flashed through Xiao Yan's eyes. He suddenly withdrew all the aura around his body and rapidly formed a series of complicated seals with both hands. At the same time, Xiao Yi inside his body also opened his eyes. He flew to Xiao Yan's forehead and formed the same seals as him. When the Northern Dragon King saw this, he sneered and gave Xiao Yan no time to prepare. The giant sword in his hand slashed down fiercely once again. Just as the sword was about to land on Xiao Yan's head, the hand seals of Xiao Yan and Xiao Yi froze at the same time. A terrifying aura, as if capable of destroying the heavens and earth, swept out from Xiao Yan's body like a storm, causing everyone present to instantly change expression. After an earth-shaking explosion, a terrifying aura of destruction surged from Xiao Yan's body. His body suddenly began to burn on its own. Pink flames seeped into every inch of his skin, muscles, and bones. As the flames burned fiercely, Xiao Yan's body gradually became crystal clear and translucent. One could even clearly see his internal organs covered by layers of flame crystal. The green-red bone wings on his back also slowly melted, transforming into a pair of wide pink fire wings. From a distance, Xiao Yan looked as though he had been cast from transparent pink glass. It was an incredibly wondrous sight. This was one of Xiao Yan's trump cards, the destructive flame body. This technique required him to release the energy of his heavenly flame to its absolute limit, then perfectly merge it with his own body. Its requirements for flame control were terrifyingly strict. With even the slightest mistake, the user would be devoured by the heavenly flame and reduced to ashes. But ever since the spirit of the heavenly flame, Xiao Yi, had been born, this hidden danger had completely disappeared. Xiao Yi and Xiao Yan were connected in mind and spirit. Their control over flames was unparalleled under the heavens. This was the first time Xiao Yan had used this move since leaving the demonic flame space. Although its power was boundless, its consumption was also extremely shocking. With his current strength, he could maintain it for at most 1 minute. Outside the blood formation, the ancient dragon clansmen all sensed that terrifying aura and looked over in astonishment. Elder Zhu Li was filled with emotion. When he had first met Xiao Yan, his own strength had still been above Xiao Yan's. He never expected that in just a few short years, Xiao Yan would have already thrown him far behind. The other elders were also overjoyed. Their originally hopeless hearts once again ignited with hope. Ziyan looked at Xiao Yan's figure, and the worry hanging over her heart finally eased. Although the Northern Dragon King mocked Xiao Yan for pretending to be mysterious, the vigilance in his heart had already reached its peak. He could clearly feel that the current Xiao Yan was capable of posing a fatal threat to him. The Northern Dragon King did not dare to be careless. He immediately formed seals and activated the strongest killing move of the Dragon Transformation Demon Formation. Blood Dragon devours the heavens. The entire blood formation churned violently. Countless streams of blood energy gathered above the Northern Dragon King's head, forming a ferocious blood dragon larger than the entire Dragon Island. In order to make the blood dragon even stronger, the Northern Dragon King cruelly detonated many of the ancient dragon clansmen inside the formation, absorbing all their flesh, blood, and energy. On the other side, Kai Lin was desperately saving people. She continuously threw the trapped clansmen out of the blood formation, but many still suffered miserable deaths. The Northern Dragon King laughed proudly and flashed into the blood dragon's body. After merging with the blood dragon, his power surged once again. The blood dragon opened its huge mouth, and 1,000 zhang-long blood-red light pillar, carrying an aura capable of destroying the heavens and earth, shot fiercely toward Xiao Yan. Seeing this, Yan and the others could not help crying out in alarm. However, facing this attack that was powerful enough to severely injure a 5-star Dou Saint, Xiao Yan had no intention of dodging at all. He slowly opened his eyes. Within his pupils, a flame lotus spun. At this moment, he had already perfectly fused with the purifying lotus demonic flame. The fire wings behind Xiao Yan trembled lightly. He turned into a flaming meteor and charged straight toward the blood-red light pillar. Then, a scene that left everyone dumbfounded occurred. The blood-red light pillar, which seemed capable of breaking through anything, began to rapidly turn illusory the instant it touched Xiao Yan. In the blink of an eye, the entire light pillar completely disappeared. Xiao Yan's figure, however, remained completely unharmed as he continued flying toward the blood dragon. The Northern Dragon King's eyes were filled with disbelief and madness. He knew that he no longer had any way out. Thus, he gathered all his power and formed a dark red blood bead inside the blood dragon's mouth. This blood bead not only contained the flesh and blood of countless clansmen, but had also devoured their souls. With a vicious smile, the Northern Dragon King shot the blood bead fiercely toward Xiao Yan. He believed that this attack would definitely erase Xiao Yan completely. The blood bead tore through the void, carrying an aura that seemed capable of destroying everything as it smashed toward Xiao Yan. Everyone present felt their hearts leap into their throats. Even their breathing unconsciously stopped. The Northern Dragon King's scarlet eyes stared fixedly at the point of collision as he laughed crazily, declaring that no one could stop his steps. However, before his laughter had fully fallen, it abruptly stopped, as if someone had seized him by the throat. Xiao Yan's expression was calm. Waves of pink flame surged from his palm, firmly wrapping around the blood-soaked bead. Under the purification of the purifying lotus demonic flame, the terrifying aura on the blood bead was rapidly disappearing. When the Northern Dragon King saw this, he completely broke down. He could not believe that his strongest killing move had been neutralized so easily. Xiao Yan told him that this was the purifying lotus demonic flame, ranked 3rd on the heavenly flame ranking. It possessed the ability to purify all things. Even souls could be completely purified by it. When the Northern Dragon King heard that name, a chill instantly surged from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. Although he had lived in the Beast region for a long time, he had still heard of the fearsome reputation of the purifying lotus demonic flame. Xiao Yan ignored the Northern Dragon King's shock and continued urging the flame to purify the blood bead. Very quickly, the originally dark red blood bead transformed into a pale pink ball of light. Inside it remained the countless remnant souls of the ancient dragon clansmen who had been devoured by the Northern Dragon King. Xiao Yan looked at the Northern Dragon King and smiled faintly. With a flick of his finger, he shot the ball of light toward him. The Northern Dragon King was so frightened that his soul nearly scattered. He turned and fled. He understood better than anyone how terrifying that ball of light was. If it struck him, he would undoubtedly die. But the ball of light was even faster than him. Countless furious human faces appeared on its surface as it instantly caught up with the Northern Dragon King. Under his terrified gaze, it exploded with a thunderous boom. A terrifying energy storm swept through the entire void, scattering more than half of the blood energy over Dragon Island. The ancient dragon clansmen were stunned for a moment. Then they erupted into thunderous cheers. Elder Zhu Li and the others were so overjoyed that tears filled their eyes. They all said that Xiao Yan had given the ancient dragon clan a debt of rebirth. After this incident, even those elders who had originally opposed the alliance finally relented and agreed that the ancient Void Dragon Clan and the Heavenly Mansion Alliance would officially become allies. However, just as everyone was celebrating the victory, the energy storm gradually dispersed. An extremely battered figure appeared before them. The Northern Dragon King was actually still alive.